We're recording. Hey, Dion.
Hey, Rich.
Our excellent adventures continue. Hopefully, we all sound like real radio men now. I went and added a bunch of features. You are now noise gated, noise suppressed. There's a limiter and a compressor and an expander and an equalizer on your input now.
Whoa,
And I can explain
that's
to you
cool.
what it is. By the way, I had my good friend Paul, a different Paul, call me and say, he's been listening to this thing. He says, I know what you guys are about. You're about making the really complicated stuff in life simple. Isn't that
Oh,
genius? I'm going to change the entire thing, right? Because we really
yeah,
do.
that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know we're both tired today. It's been a kind of a terrible week for sleep, don't you think?
It's been a very challenging week, and I'm so glad that you said we need to still do this week's episode because I'm tired, and then I don't want to do it because my brain is not in focus mode. But um, I'm also on the one hand kind of tired
Yeah.
when it comes to like fake things on social media and the internet. And the typical startup founder's journey is this hero's journey where you climb the mountain and you overcome
Ah, yeah.
the challenges against all odds, but no one really shares the ugly side of it. When you're tired and you
Exactly.
you run into some problems and the typical challenges, right?
Oh, man. I mean, geez, no one has any idea how hard this really is. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
because there was a lot that happened this week, right? So there's the whole SVB banking thing that happened, and of course I'm in Europe, so that spilled over into Europe with Credit Suisse
Yes,
and
that was
all of the
scary.
bank stocks. Man, and then in the midst of all of this, you of course have your personal investments to juggle, and then there's the company that you need to be concerned about, and then on top of that, of course, we're I think company-wise, it's going really well, but there's obviously a lot of deep technology that we're getting stuck into. GPT-4 launched, so we're all over that, and there's a lot of really advanced machine learning models that we're digging into that does 3D model reconstruction and
Yeah.
segmentation on top of that.
Yep.
So it's just a whole big bag of stuff that's in our heads this week, right?
Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff. It's overwhelming. I mean, I love it because there's always something new, but I hate it because there's always something new.
So so how do you balance that? Um, because there's always going to be something new, and the problem with our personalities is that we're attracted to something new like a moth to a flame,
Right.
but you also need a fair amount of discipline not to always just run after the new shiny, right?
Well, I'm going to tell you an apocryphal story, which may or may not be true, and I'm going to change the names to protect the innocent. But roughly 22 years ago, there was a lot of concern about women in technology, even back then. And so I was at Microsoft at the time, and there was a gigantic seminar that was put on by uh, for all the women executives at Microsoft. I don't know how many people there were, hundreds, if not thousands. And they had the CEO at the time, and they had a woman, and I think it was the head of IBM Services or something like that. And one woman asked, "So tell me about your day." And so one version is, and I won't tell you who's who. It's okay. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I work out for 35 minutes. And then I have 7.5 minutes with my kids, and then I take them to work, and then I go to work, and then I do this, and I do that, and I do this, and then I go to bed at 8:42 p.m. every night, and that's how I do it. And apocryphally, the other person said, "What are you, some kind of alien?" Here's the way my life is. I wake up, my husband tells me, "You're not paying enough attention to me." So I got to change that and spend some more time on that. Then the kids need this and that. Oh my God, I get some more time on that. And then there's another meeting I have to go to. I got to spend more time on that. My life is a complete apocryphal nightmare. And apparently, everyone in the audience clapped and cheered at the second version. And I think that
Mm.
is what most people's lives are like. There's no balance. It's
Mm.
just catastrophe to catastrophe, and you're just trying to keep it going. Okay, we're going to stop the podcast because OBS is in massive crash mode. I'm going to
Oh
stop the
no.
thing. I can
Oh
see
no,
what happens is
crisis.
that Zoom
Well,
gets behind.
well, why not? This is the week for it.
Yes, so we'll be
Perfect.
right back. And we're back. I don't know. I mean, I've got an M1 Pro Max, and what I notice is that I'm running at 40% CPU and 82% GPU right now. So we sometimes get this lag problem. I think it may be related to the fact I have 1,000 audio filters, and I was trying to run this camera up here at 4K, and this is a 4K output. That may
Mm.
not be so great, but it seems to be
Oh,
working
but
fine
still, I
now.
mean, that M1 Max has a lot of horsepower, but maybe just not too efficiently implemented, I guess, on OBS's side.
Well, it's
But I
interesting.
mean,
It's not OBS typically, so OBS is not losing any frames because I've got the stats viewer.
okay.
It's Zoom. Zoom basically
Ah,
collapses and drops frame rates. I think that's the
okay.
problem. I probably have to do some Zoom tuning. Okay, there we go. Okay, anyway, back at it. Yeah, no, I think life is just kind of like that. I mean, as you and I both know, maybe oversharing, but we share our sleep stats every night, right?
Yeah.
Because we're all both obsessed with it. And it's, not such great news. Like yesterday I slept 7 hours, right? The day before I slept 6 hours and 14 minutes, 7 hours and 28 minutes, 6 hours and 16 minutes. This is not good stuff, right? Six
Well,
hours,
but it's still a
49
massive
minutes.
improvement over last year.
Oh yeah,
You
last
remember?
year, let's see. Last year's average was 5 hours and 40 minutes, so that was not so great.
Yeah.
So no, I don't.
Sleep.
I think anyone who has a piece of advice that's like, here's perfection, they're just lying, man. There's no way.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just no way. There's
Yeah.
no
No,
way
I.
to have this balance. I just don't. Anyone who says they've got it, they're just lying. Right.
Yeah, you have to be really disciplined about balance. Because I try to at least get some exercise in, and you're also pretty good at doing your exercise, right? I mean, you're
Oh
on your
yeah, no.
bike
And
every
I have a
day.
very simple reason. You'll laugh. It's to save $12 a month because I'm totally gamified. So
Yeah.
this watch I have, I actually got it from my health insurance company, or it's my life insurance company. And if you exercise, I think 20 days out of 30, they give you essentially the watch for free. So you're
Yeah.
on this treadmill where you're trying constantly to exercise, and that actually works for me.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
The last year, I think I exercised 220 days out of the year. That helps.
mm.
And you,
That
of
helps.
course, you're a maniac. God.
Not really a maniac, but I try to go every second day at least, just picking up heavy things and putting them down repeatedly until I'm tired. Um, but I also don't punish myself too much. If 20 to 30 minutes is what it takes, that's good
Yeah,
enough. And
yeah,
where we live, we use the car almost never. We take the bicycle to the shop, or we would just walk, because we're in a small little village outside of Amsterdam. So that helps, building in um, exercise just by, you know, commuting from point A to point B.
yeah.
That helps.
That I bet helps a lot.
Yeah. But sleep is a big one. Like I've struggled with sleep my entire life, and I know that if I'm a little bit more disciplined with that, then things do tend to get better. But it's so hard at night because I get a lot of energy at night, and who knows, maybe I'm a descendant of the guy that was sitting outside the cave at night throwing rocks
No,
at the beasts.
you and I are definitely the defend the honor of the village late at night and keep the four horsemen from showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think there's probably something to a lot of the tech friends I have are late night people. But I think there
Mm.
may be something to this little job that makes you a late night person.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. But yeah, I think the three things, and it's back to what I learned from you. most things can be distilled into the three most important things. And I think the three most important things here to consider is sleep, exercise, and then to only focus on the three most important things for the day.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can get overwhelmed and you do too much, and you can also focus on the wrong things,
Yeah.
right? If you try to take on too much in one day.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is completely a case of, uh, I could work forever because the bank of work never stops.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, literally, last night I was up at 11 working on this, what are we going to do about AI chat GPT thing? And I could have been up all night working on it. So yeah, I think you have to set these intermediate goals, because otherwise it'll just never work, right? You just get more and more tired. I say that and I suck at this. So let's just be completely clear about this. There's no like superhuman effort here. It's like as an example, the worst thing in my life is the summers in Seattle. The sun wakes up at 5:30 a.m. and it goes to sleep at 9 p.m. So if you want to stay up for 2 more hours after that, you're getting 5 hours of sleep. Running through the math. But I found the secret. It's very simple. Really boring audiobooks. That's the
Nice.
key.
So what do you listen to? Because my problem is when I do that, before I know it, I end up on YouTube because I have a YouTube premium subscription. I stopped all of my other subscriptions, so I listen to music and watch videos, everything on YouTube. But then I end up on PBS Spacetime's
Oh
YouTube
yeah,
channel
no, you can't
and
do
I
that.
watch hours of videos
Oh yeah,
around
no,
black
that's
holes
bad. That's bad.
and quantum
You're
things.
totally in trouble.
That doesn't work.
Totally in trouble. No, you're toast. No, okay. So as Dion knows, I have to find melodious voices, and I've got the best podcast for right now. It's written by this guy who is like one of the world's most famous yachtsmen. Right? He spent his entire life yachting, and it's an entire audiobook, 13 hours about how to buy a boat and what to look for. That is awesome. I listen to that and I'm gone. Right? And as you know, you killed it for me, because for a while I was listening to this pen broadcast about fountain pens and so forth. But then I think you pointed out there's certain innuendos that are drawn, and now it's like the biggest comedy show that I've ever listened to. I just love this nib, right? The perfect pointed nib. I just love it. So I just can't listen to that anymore. So you destroyed that for me. Thank you very much. But,
yeah, that's I will take full responsibility for that. But it's not my fault that you went off and listened to a podcast. So for those of you who are listening, this podcast is all about pens, but the way they talk about pens, you can substitute pen for something
any kind of thing you want.
Age rate.
And once you hear it, you can never go back. So, but I don't want to discredit my friends at this podcast, because they are really great. But I think I will show you the best book ever written on this topic. Here we go. Wait, you have to get this book. This book is going to make you so happy, Dion. Here we go. Sailing the Serious Oceans. This guy is so great. 10 hours. And the best part about it is it starts with, if you want to buy a watercraft and jump in it for 3 years of your life, here's what you look for from the bottom, the bilge, all the way to the kitchen to the top. 3 hours on that. It is awesome. It's great. It is like the best. And this guy, Neil Runnett, oh, the perfect voice. Perfect voice. He's got the perfect voice for this thing. It's just so incredible. So yeah, I highly recommend this book. It's in my library. If you have an Amex Platinum card, you can actually get these books for free, because they provide $20 a month for digital entertainment, and you can get a subscription. That's really great. So there you go, dude. That's the answer.
Have you tried Michael Seeley on YouTube?
Michael Seeley. No. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so Michael, and then it's Sealy.
Okay.
He's got these 3-4 hour long videos.
Oh, okay. So
It's
this is one of the keys because we learned that you have to shut down the light in your eye. So I don't use YouTube videos, right? Because you have to have zero lux, et cetera, et cetera. So
yes,
I actually listen to the YouTube videos completely quiet, right?
yeah,
Without
yep,
looking at it. But I
yep,
want to give a shout out to my friends at Pen Addict. This is Brad Dowdy and Mike Hurley. Oh, best voices. And look at
yeah,
this. I mean, this is amazing, right? Number Green, where's your margarita version? And they just talk about pens. The oddly enjoyable fountain pen, emergency cufflink. I mean, come on. This is this is the real thing.
yeah. So that's really important, I think, to get out of your head from time to time, because I think that's one of the problems, right? If um you really enjoy what you're doing, like what we do,
Yeah,
because we love working with technology, and it's a never ending black hole of fun to be had. But too much of a good thing can sometimes be a bad thing because it throws off your balance completely,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And I think the measures that the measure that you mentioned, which is the amount of sleep you're getting, I think is a really good metric. I mean, there's a lot of other ones like how much are you exercising every day, but I found since I've gotten an hour and a half more sleep, I'm much more sensitive to not having enough sleep. So it's kind of a
Mm,
positive cycle.
mm,
So
cool.
what else is going on in your world, man? What are you thinking about these days?
Well, outside of building company and robots and machine learning, it's just what's happening in the world right now, with this bank run that we have. And then you think, okay, so if and it's so funny because it is this self-fulfilling prophecy where if everyone freaks out and runs to the banks, then guess what, you're going to have a collapse. If
Yeah.
no one does that, everything is going to be fine.
Yep.
um, and there's really no safe havens. You could go and buy a bunch of gold doubloons, but even something like Bitcoin, I don't think will give you enough stability because um, Bitcoin adoption is still quite low. So if you take out all of your cash and pump it into Bitcoin, and there is a large market collapse, you might not even find a functioning exchange to get it back to something that you can use to buy bread and cheese with,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. 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 And I think that's one of the key things, which is okay. I'll give you my optimist view. We really are living in Dickens' novel, and there was a famous one called "Tale of Two Cities," and it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, and that's really where we
Mm,
are, right? And we have all this uncertainty, but we are also at this transition where solar and wind energy are cheaper than fossil fuels. We're also at the point where I think productivity could be increased like 1,000 times, right?
mm,
Because ChatGPT, GPT4, they're all promise amazing productivity. In fact, I wrote a program last night that would have taken me, I don't know, a week in literally like 3 hours, right?
mm.
So I just feel like, the glass is either half full or half empty, and worrying about things that you can't do anything about doesn't make that much sense to me. So I think that you need to do the obvious things, which is on the finance side, regular investment. The thing we talked about before, this sort of um, a little bit every day does the trick, and don't get
Mm,
too over committed to any category. Right, that's really important. Not taking unnecessary risk. In the U.S. with this crazy banking system, that's making sure everything's insured and making sure you're working with banks where you know what they are. Right. So these so-called neobanks, you better spend some time figuring out what the hell it is and how it can go bankrupt and just being smart. And we've been through the pandemic, so yes, wandering around a random crowd of a bunch of people you don't know where they're spitting on you is not good. And it's not good not just because of COVID, it's just not good,
yeah.
right? So I think those are the lessons. But in my mind, we are at the cusp of something amazing, which is the tools for uh, improving things are really at hand. I just listened to a very inspiring presentation by the woman who's in charge of partners in health. which is a
Mm.
nonprofit started by Paul Farmer. And they basically are in the poorest countries in the world trying to improve their healthcare systems. And since you're from Namibia, you know how bad it can be. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And she went through her 20 years of just grinding away and learning a couple important things, which is essentially rich people landing in a poor country doing a bunch of things in 10 minutes is not going to solve the problem. And
Mm.
that's one essential lesson. Second essential, because they've been in Haiti, which is where they started, for over 20 years. And the second lesson is it's the little things. So, for instance, they have funded a medical college in Haiti, and their big goal is to not have everyone who's smart there leave for somewhere else. And they've achieved that.
Mm.
They have about a 70% retain rate for doctors in Haiti, right? And
Mm.
so these are the things I think that really make a difference when you're really grinding down and really working on, well, what are the small things that I can do to make a difference that result in big things? And I like to think the project we're working on with our little startup is sort of the same thing. That it's a small idea, but it's got big legs, and fundamentally, automation is not the enemy of workers. It's a way to get more productivity and get rid of the, I think you call it the dull, dirty, and dangerous jobs in the world, because people shouldn't be doing those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a wise take on it. I'm still very optimistic about things, but I think it's also a matter of, if you just zoom out from the planet, what you see is a bunch of organisms running around and going about their day and trying to do things. And if you take into account the times we're living in, where the environment around these organisms are changing so rapidly,
Yeah.
it's logical to see why the organisms themselves have a hard time with navigating that change. If you know we've we haven't seen this much change around
Yeah.
us, and it's all technologically driven.
Yeah.
So it is very much, in my view, the next step of our evolutionary process.
Yeah.
And maybe what we're seeing is something that we need to learn to get better at, is getting comfortable with uncertainty,
Yeah.
and really embracing that,
Yep.
and not trying, like you said, to control things outside of our immediate circle of control.
Yeah.
Those little circles that Stephen Covey always talks about in Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. Um, we know these things, but then we conveniently forget them, and then we run around chasing our tails, thinking we control a lot of things. And the moment you understand something and you think that this thing that I'm understanding right now is in a steady state, then it keeps on changing, and then you freak out because, why is this thing changing? I thought this was what it was. I thought this thing
Yeah.
was black, and tomorrow it's blue.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's going on?
I think we're in very much in the um, my mind. You can worry and be depressed, and I kind of know where that comes from. But we can always also be excited, and the key
Mm.
question is, well, how do you end up being excited about the world, but realizing that things might not always be perfect.
Yeah.
And I have some great examples of this. You want to take a look?
Yes.
Just talk about it. So we have been working on a lot of different things, and we have been using this sort of chat GPT thing pretty constantly. And I just wanted to show some of the things that we've been working on. Can you see this, Dion?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
showing. Okay. Oh, I got to fix one little
Well,
thing here.
of
Sorry,
course,
when
it's
I
not.
resized my thing, I don't really understand why it resizes all the windows, but apparently when you do, it does. So there you go. Here I am again. Normal. Okay.
So I'm just gonna pretend that I'm seeing your screen. Full disclosure, because
Wait.
I'm not seeing it.
Oh, you were not seeing
But
my
that's not gonna
screen?
stop us.
Oh, hang on,
No.
hang on. What are you actually seeing?
I see both of us frozen in time.
Okay, yeah, I think there's a bug. Does that work any better? You see anything? No?
Nope.
Okay. Well, we'll just make a quick change here. You can at least see me. Can you see me
Oh
now?
yeah. Yeah, yeah, now I can see you.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I think there may be a bug in this virtual camera feature. It's still streaming, just happily.
No, that's good.
Input type, output type, internal. Output type scene. So I don't even understand what this means. Okay, I'm going to try one more time. We're going to do one more time and then we're going to give up. Hang on, guys. This virtual
It's
camera
all
thing.
good.
What do you see now, my friend?
I see your name in completely black. I think the camera feed stopped.
Oh, yeah, it definitely stopped. Oh, well. Oh, well. Let's see here. Okay. Well, this is working over here. How about now? I think I know what's going on. I think I know. Give us all 1 second here. What does source mean? What does all this stuff mean? Okay, how about now? Do you see anything? Anything
Nope.
share? No? Nothing? Oh, I turned the video off. My bad. Too many controls. That's great. Oh yeah, okay, that works. Can you see me now?
Yes, I can see you.
Okay, how about now? Oh, that's a
Nope.
stop. Oh yeah, this is not great. Okay, well, no problem. We're not okay, well I'm going to show. Let's see, how can I do this? What am I gonna do here? It's hilarious. I love
It
it.
is.
OBS is not perfect. Okay. Well, let's see. How can I do this? I know. Let me try sharing a screen.
Everyone is now privileged to have a live view of the evolution of this podcast.
Yes.
In 5 years from now, when we have drones flying around taking the shots with cameras and a full production crew, we're gonna laugh at this video. Hey, yeah, and I can see your screen. Oh, cool, nice. Oh, I saw you use ChatGPT to. Nice. It's the stop start episode.